G'day lads, Green here. Ignore the hair, I can't find my hat, and also the sign, it brokey, and I haven't been bothered to fix it yet. You may have noticed that yesterday I uploaded a video that probably had a lot of people confused. Yesterday was April Fool's, if you didn't already know. Well, a day behind for actually everyone else outside of Australia, so it gave me extra time to work on this. And I already did the bit where I uploaded a video doing the old switcheroo, doing regular old text-to-speech, almost a green text-to-speech, doing text-to-speech instead of just my voice. But I want to do something a little bit different this year. And so I was inspired by a video that the lads over at Corridor did about a month ago, which was training an AI to replicate your voice. And so that's what I did. And if you watch that video, it's somewhere over, I think the tag should be over here somewhere. I'll link that if you want to watch it. It was actually surprisingly easy to do. I used this service called Descript, and no, this is not a sponsored video in any way from that company. I just honestly think they have the best algorithm that is available for this in my opinion. The way that it works is that you feed in an audio of a person's voice you're trying to replicate. And if you're doing your own voice, you could just read a passage from a book that you like, for example, for 5 minutes, and that could be enough. But in my case, since I'm also just constantly recording my voice, I just had a 40-minute recording of whatever the last green text lot was, so I just uploaded that, and off it goes, training the AI, using this set of data to replicate my voice of just some absolute horrid stuff. Obviously, the more data that you do feed it, the better it will sound. However, I forgot that yesterday was April Fool's, and I didn't really have enough time to get back better results, because actually even just giving this 40 minutes was probably even overkill for the first lot to get back, and even then it still took like just under a day. I think in the end it was like 16 hours. Like literally, I finished the video about 3 hours before it actually went live. Like I was cutting that fucking close. I had no time to feed it any more data. But before we go any further, I wanted to quickly touch base on the obvious security concerns that some of you guys may have. Because if you have many hours of audio on the internet out there like me, what's stopping you from just trying to replicate someone else's voice? Well, they have a thing called like a voice signature thing, like you know how with documents you have a thing online where you just sign your name or type your name, whatever. Yeah, this version is you have to provide saying a certain phrase out loud, declaring that I da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, which I'm obviously not going to say in this video for obvious reasons. And if you really are that determined, there are ways you can get around it, but obviously I'm also not going to go into that here. But at the end of the day, if you are someone like me whose whole thing is to put their voice on the internet, you can't really ever truly stop someone who wants to do something like this if they have all this data online. Like the weaponized autism, man, it's a meme, but it's also truly a thing. So the best way I think showing off that this actually is the AI talking and not me is to load up a bunch of basically impossible tongue twisters for it to read and just like feed it that way. And so let's go check that out. Okay, so here we are in the actual program itself, and the way that it works is that I have my my AI that I've generated here. They have a bunch of other stock ones you can really do, which I haven't really messed with, and who really cares? Not really here to see that. So if I select Mr. Green Text here, I can really type anything and it really comes up. So I can write, for example, I did a big cum and it went everywhere. I type it out. I'm pretty sure I have to like close the sentence, and then down the bottom it'll say generating overdub, which is what they call the thing. You give it a minute, it's going off to the server and then coming back again. Alright, so let's just let it in. So let's listen to I did a big cum. I did a big cum and it went everywhere. So that's also, you'll notice the thing is that it does say it very fast. You can space out stuff. There's a blade, because typically I did a big cum and you have like a slight pause. I was just going, I did a big cum and it went everywhere. Like it just does it all at once, and that's again the problem that I think that this sort of has at the moment. So let's see how it sounds now. I did a big cum and it went everywhere. Yeah, so pretty much the same. So that being said, let's load in some impossible tongue twisters, hey? I'll pop in this one and see how it goes. It's just a bunch of like t-t-t-t-t-t, which is going to have like a bunch of like feedback if I try and do this, and this is pretty hard. Alright, let's load it in, let's give it a listen. A tutor who tutored the flute tried to teach two young tutors to toot, said the tutor the tutor. Is it harder to toot, or to tutor two tutors to toot? Like, that sounds pretty good. That's not fucking bad, bro, for like 40 minutes of audio and like a day's worth of work. That's pretty fucking good, dude. Let's load in a couple more, just because I can. This is also just a bunch of B's, so just hear if I do this. Betty bought a bit of butter, but the butter Betty bought was bitter, so Betty bought a better butter. And it was better than the butter Betty bought before. That's pretty good! Like, it's pretty good, bro. Like, if you close your eyes, like, sure, it might sound a bit funny, and it might sound a bit off, but you're like, it's definitely in a really weird tone, but that's not fucking bad, bro. Alright, one more, just because I can. I wish to wish the wish you wish to wish. But if you wish the wish the witch wishes, I won't wish the wish you wish to wish. That's, again, also the problem. When it delivers a word, it will deliver a word the same, I'm pretty sure, every time. So that's why it sounds really funny. I want to listen to that again. I wish to wish the wish you wish to wish. But if you wish the wish the witch wishes, I won't wish the wish you wish to wish. No, actually, now that I say that, it is delivering it definitely different. Wish you wish to wish. Wish you wish you wish. It's definitely delivering it different. Interesting. Okay, it does have different inflection in the same word. That is a discovery that I just found right now, I guess. But yeah, again, still not quite like normal human inflection is a weird way to put it. But yeah, that's sort of weird brief overview of like the program here, I guess. So now with all the scary stuff out of the way, there are, I think, some benefits to this existing, I think. The best example of this, though I'm not sure they also did use the service for this, is both a mix of deepfake technology as well as this, is the Luke Skywalker and the Book of Boba Fett, which is a lot different to his first appearance at the end of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, which actually is a bit of a mix of deepfake, but also mostly the digital face replacement with a bunch of digital touch-ups, because they just didn't really have time to really do a bunch of research and development, because they, the crew didn't know Luke Skywalker was going to be in this show. They didn't really have time to train an AI to replicate his face. So that's why in the show he has like this real dead look in his eyes in all of his scenes, where the main difference in the Book of Boba Fett, I can almost guarantee you it's pretty much almost all deepfake with maybe a little touch-ups here and there. And actually for this, they hired a YouTube enthusiast who's a deepfake artist called Shamook, who I'll also link in the description if you're really interested, whose entire hobby is just like replacing celebrity face A with other popular celebrity face. You might have seen a couple of his viral videos, like putting Tobey Maguire's face on Tom Holland for Spider-Man, putting Robert Pattinson's face on Christian Bale for the Batman, putting Harrison Ford's face on whoever the other actor was that was in the Solo film. Yeah, basically that was his whole thing. So Disney saw him and very much hired him, which was a fucking good move on their part. And it paid off, I think. You can actually see, it almost looks like he has life in his eyes. There are some like shots here and there that aren't perfect, but I think it is the best by far. Now the biggest hurdle I think for AI voices in general, I think is inflection and delivery of the lines. Which you also probably very much noticed in my video, the voice is quite monotone when you have an AI that trains it. It does detect a lot of my inflections in the way I deliver certain words, but it can't act. And that's why you might have like, something that might sound angry. I can add an exclamation point, it might make it a little bit louder, but it won't like deliver it angry. I think there are some like little bits and pieces you can to tweak to do this, but it's just not really at the point yet where it really is, worth using and worth like dicking around for half an hour to try and get it to say that. But that's also why Luke is quite portrayed in such a monotone, stoic teacher sort of fashion. Don't get me wrong, it works for the situation, but once you know why it sounds like that, you can't really unhear it. So, fear not, commenters and general watchers of this channel, I'm obviously not going to be switching to a weird hybrid sort of text-to-speech channel. On the surface, it does sound like a dream workflow, right? you know, copy paste some text into it and have it read it for me with no fuck ups. But the hardest part actually is that almost all graphics on the internet are screen captures and just images. Threads on 4chan, 404 and delete all the time, and there are archives on the internet where you can just look up a post, but majority of the time I fail to try and find them, and you know, I have to type out all the words manually, which does take time to try and find the post, and then fail, and then type, when I could have just like long since recorded myself doing it, just reading, and it has inflection, and it has acting in the voice, if you want to call what I do in my videos acting. We'll see how the technology progresses in the next few years, I guess. But I'm really excited more than I'm scared about the possibilities, because for every AI generated piece of content on the internet, I can guarantee you there'll almost always be an AI that someone has developed to detect if something was made in AI. And I think just the future of the internet at this point is mostly just going to be AIs pitched against each other. Again, I'll link this other podcast from Corridor Digital over here, where they talk about a lot of the future of the AIs as well. And I think it's a lot of interesting stuff, like, you know, like the best example I think they had was laws and legislation, often, and, you know, those fucking terms and conditions that, you know, everyone clicks and doesn't read, but there still has to be this massive page of bullshit that no one reads and no one really is typing, and it's just full of mistakes. Like, I can almost imagine there be an AI just generating that, but also no one's gonna read that, so someone develops an AI to read it. So you just have an AI writing a thing, and then an AI to basically like decode it, make it basically an AI to write legalese, and then an AI to decode legalese. Like, it's just levels of AI, and I think that's kind of the future of where the internet's going at this point. So that's all from me from this video, and by the way, that sponsor you guys don't like is most likely coming back, and they are offering me an absolute bag that's kind of hard to refuse, so it would mean the world if you could hold off trying to dunk on them so hard. I don't really care if you don't actually visit the site or the app, but just don't just be like, I fucking hate NFTs and stop promoting a scam. Like, I don't think it's so much really a scam. There isn't so much you can really use. They are, I mean, look, and say what you want about NFTs. These guys are, you know, they're supporting the channel, so the least you could do is, like, not just fucking call this service absolute shit, because hopefully they'll come back, because they are offering me some stuff, so that's in the future. That's all from me, and I'll catch you later.